parents to love their children, because that's automatic. We all love our children. In Matthew it says, what father would give their children a stone when they ask for bread? We all want to give our children the best. In fact, we want what's best for them. We try to make their lives so easy these days. We want to protect them from all danger, from all emotional discomfort. But sometimes we forget about the other side, which is discipline. And I'm not here to give you a parenting class because I'm not the expert on parenting, but there's so much good instruction in the Bible and in the spirit of prophecy. And I can assure you that none of us are doing this exactly right, and that there's so much to learn, and that we need to apply ourselves to ensure that we're doing our best to study and to learn to be the best parents possible. There's a special thing that's been introduced into our lives just in the last 10 to 15 years, and that is, I guess the television has been around a lot longer, but phones and tablets and computers. I see that the tablet can become the babysitter. When kids from the age of almost 1 can learn how to use a tablet, and that can become such it is a very useful and powerful tool, but can also be a very destructive and negative influence. And I just want to go over you some of the negative impacts of screens. Spending too much time in front of the computer or a phone can lead to anxiety, depression. These are all studies that have been performed and have definitely shown correlation and links. Inactivity leads to poor health, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, sleep problems. It actually can lead to brain atrophy or shrinkage of the brain, especially the frontal lobe, which affects our decision making. Using a tablet or a phone too much when you're a child can lead to poor decision making as an adult, poor vision, and much higher rates of having attention deficit disorder. We have a band at school, which is something that we've just started in the last couple of years, and they're sounding wonderful. If you've been to our Christmas concert, you were able to hear our band, and you know what they've been able to achieve. But some kids will be in the middle of band in front of trumpets and sleeping because they were all night the night before on their phones or tablets playing games or whatever they do, watching YouTube in the middle of the night. And so we as parents need to be cognizant of the fact that they may be doing things late at night that we don't know about. And so we need to control these devices. Like in my house just recently, I took a tablet away from one kid and I told the other kid they can't do anything without doing it in the living room where we can see what they're doing at all times. We need to, it is a powerful addiction that can be more addictive than even than heroin, I'm sure you've experienced, like, I have an addiction to my phone. It's so difficult, even as an adult, to control yourselves. As a child, it is just like drugs. And so we need to be very careful about how we allow the world to influence our children through these devices. Dr. Charles Malik has said, change the university and you change the world. In the last few years, I think that we've seen how this has become reality, and that ideas that were sort of promoted to college students in the 90s and 2000s have come to fruition now. And I'm not going to get into any sort of cultural debate, but there are ideas which were foreign to us even 20 years ago, which are now we are sort of expected to accept as truth. And the way that happened is through the universities, is through education. And if you can train a child to think a certain way, that will be a lifelong lesson that he'll learn and keep with him. And so it is our job to ensure that we're instilling the right values in our children. In the book Education, in the highest sense of the work of education and the work of redemption are one. For in education as in redemption, other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is in Christ Jesus. So when it comes to education, we have the gospel to spread, but that gospel must be spread to who first? To our own families, to our children, through our educational system. And that is the charge, the work that God has given to us. And I'm hoping that today I can show you how GA has been able to help our kids. Another quote from education. The true teacher is not satisfied with second-rate work. He is not satisfied with directing his students to a standard lower than that is the highest which is possible for them to attain. We want our kids to achieve their maximum potential. I want to give you an idea of how standards have been lowered in the world. In, I think, the 1970s at Harvard, the average graduating grade point average was 2.5. Can you guess what it is now? 3.8. So the average Harvard student is getting A's or A minuses. And so if you look at what the world is doing, standards are being gradually lowered so that everyone can feel good about themselves. But that is not what God is calling us to do. God is calling us to educate our children to the highest academic, highest spiritual and physical standard that He has set. Not the world is setting, but that God has set. This didn't turn out, okay. So there's a study about Adventist education called Cognitive Genesis. And they compared Adventist schools to non-Adventist schools. The slide got a little bit altered, but if you look on the left-hand side, the non-Adventist schools scored about 650 to 60, and the Adventist schools scored 65 to 80. So there's a significant difference between the academic achievement between the non-Adventist schools and the Adventist schools. They ranked children by ability. So just raw ability, 1% to 25%, 26 to 50%, 51% to 75%, and 76 to 90%. And then they compared Adventist schools to non-Adventist schools, and you can see that even based on ability, that the Adventist students scored much better in that through Adventist education they were able to achieve much higher than would be expected for their ability level. So that's true of general Adventist education. Well, how is GAA doing? This is kind of a busy slide. It's hard to read. But this was our 10th grade class math scores 3 years ago after COVID. And you know, I feel like there was significant damage to our kids' social and academic learning during COVID with all the things that happened that we lived through. If you look at the scores, they went mostly low to low average and only a couple high. And that was just 3 years ago. And the same 10th grade class, or the 11th grade class now, in this last year, our lowest score was a low average, and everyone was either high or high average in most scores. So there's been a definite improvement in the last couple of years with the kids learning math. Looking at the national average of SAT scores and PSAT scores. PSAT 933 is the average, and a GAA 1011. So much higher than the national average. SAT scores 1109 and GAA average 1140. So our kids are not only are Adventist school kids, Adventist schools in general doing well, but GAA is doing much better than the national average, which I think is really a testament to how the school is doing well with the students that we have. So I wanted to introduce you to some of the teachers, or actually all the teachers. Ms. Giselle has been on the island at least 10 years as our preschool teacher. She's able to instill discipline in the children so that they're ready to learn how to. If you can instill discipline in pre-K and K, that will benefit the children throughout the entire educational system. Ms. Joylin, we've been able to add just 2 years ago, and you know her well. She does, her name fits her so well because she adds so much joy to her students in the classroom, and we really appreciated having Ms. Joy. Ms. Manabusen has been one of our best teachers. She's able to help the kids understand the material so well. She's able to instill that knowledge when it comes to all the subjects, and we've been so blessed to have Ms. Manabusen. Ms. Bertha Saladier, who had so much experience, started the year, and Ms. Silencia Saladier is ending the year, and they've been able to add. Silencia has been an excellent teacher, bringing that youth and energy, and the students have loved her. Ms. Ricken. Ms. Ricken has an ability to teach to the level of the students. Whatever, if it's high level or low level, she's able to go at a pace that they understand and to bring the students along. And she's also serving as our teaching principal because, as you know, our principal had to leave due to personal reasons earlier this year. Mr. Rotelo has been such a blessing. He goes to church here, so you know him well. But he is a jack of all trades. Whenever there's a problem, he can fix it. Like we had a pressure washer, and it kind of wasn't working. So I just had to ask Mr. Rotelo, and he can fix it. He does our life skills class. He's able to do IT at school. In so many ways, he's been a blessing at school. Mr. Enders is our latest addition. He's been working hard as our English teacher. Miss Amazu. Miss Amazu is amazing. She works. I feel like she works 18 hours a day. From the moment she walks into school till the moment school ends, she's either teaching or tutoring all the students in math. And that's why our scores are so much better, because she's been dedicated to making sure that our students understand math. I mean, if you think about math, it's such an important skill to know when you're out talking about getting a home mortgage or looking at your bank account. I mean, all these things are practical things that we need to know as adults. I feel like some kids leave school and don't have a good knowledge, and they're sort of taken advantage of, or they can't take advantage of the opportunities they have. And then after school, she coaches cross country, she coaches track, all these things she volunteers. And so I would never ask a teacher to work as hard as she does, but she does it because she loves the students. Pastor Garcia is a younger chaplain who's able to connect with the students, who's able to teach the Bible classes and counsel our students. And I feel like he's been such a blessing and addition this year. Miss Vega, most of you know Miss Vega. She's been at the school, I don't know, yes, 17 plus years. Sometimes she can come off as a little bit, strong, but she's been the backbone of our school, and we're so lucky to have her. We have 3 student missionaries who are helping: Ms. Rivera, Ellie Camara, and Jesse Lavelle, helping in different areas like PE and helping the lower kids with English. Ms. Soraya Vega is our substitute teacher and is also going to teach pre-calculus next year. And Ms. Kenyatta was able to fill in as our English teacher until we got Mr. Enders. And Mr. McKeever, he's been teaching Guam history and also coaching volleyball, which has been really exciting. Did you know that we have the best beach volleyball team, boys on the island? They're expected to win the championship here, which is pretty exciting. Our music department has really flourished. We have a full-fledged band. We also have handbells, and we're going to start an octet. And so we want to focus on academics, but we want to make sure the kids are having a well-rounded education in other areas, including fine arts and music. So some of most of you probably understand the relationship that the school has with the church, but I just wanted to review that with you. The school is an extension of the Guam churches. Amen. And the school board is composed of church members. And so there should be a representative from Managuaiza. Who is that right now? It's
Richie.
Richie?
Where's Richie?
The school board makes all the important decisions that the school has to follow through with. And so Managuaiza Church has a voice in this decision making and should be actively involved in how the school runs. Okay, I just want to go over some financial information real quick with the church. So in 2023, the school received about $32,000 in church subsidy to cover the 10% tuition discount. So we were able to give students $44,000 of tuition discounts from the school to the students that attend from the churches, for Adventist students. And then on top of that, the school provided $91,000 of financial aid. So the school provided $135,000 worth of financial aid and tuition discounts to the churches, and the churches subsidized $32,000. So you can see there's a major imbalance. And before it was less of an issue because we were receiving extra money from GMM and the clinic. Unfortunately, because the clinic is losing money and because GMM can't provide that financial support, we're losing that support. So we're losing about $80,000 of financial aid over the next year or so. I wanted to just discuss the current state of the school. How are things going at the school? When I first got here 3 or 4 years ago, you know we went through some turmoil with prior administration, and many of the students were either embarrassed to attend GAA or just really just wanted to leave and go to a different school. But I feel like that's really changed. Like most if not all students are really excited to be going to GAA. They're proud of being an angel, which is our mascot. And when students leave, they're devastated. They just really beg their parents to stay. In fact, many students, at least I know 2 or 3 students, have begged their parents so much they end up staying longer just because they want to stay at our school. So I feel like the morale and the way the students feel about the school has really changed. I feel like our faculty has improved significantly. During the pandemic and all those things that happened, we had some issues with staffing, but I feel like those have been all addressed, and we have some of the best faculty on the island. And if you think about our scores and our academic achievement, I feel like some people think that, if I go to Harvest or if I go to St. John's, that the kids will get a better education. And I firmly believe that's no longer the case. That if you send your kids to GA, they'll be getting the best education they can on this island. So everything's going well. Of course, there's financial issues, and there's always going to be that. Someone said that Adventist institutions are always in a state of need. And that's by design. God has designed these institutions to require help so that it gives the churches an opportunity to step in and receive a blessing by giving. So what does the future look like? Because we're losing this $80,000 worth of financial aid support that we're getting from the clinic and GMM, this year we will continue to provide all of the financial aid to all the students that we were giving before. So we're not going to take away any scholarships. But starting next year, if we can't raise enough money, there may be a point where we can't offer due scholarships, and I really hope that we don't get to that point. We're embarking on a housing renovation project on the school campus. If you've been to campus, you know the house on the left side of the school is really run down and can't be used. We're looking to renovate that so that teachers can move on campus, which will make this campus safer and much easier for teachers. And then someday maybe we can build a dormitory and expand our school. So I'm here to ask the churches, what do we value? Do we value our children? Do we value their education? Do we begin with the end in mind, which is to help our kids to reach our ultimate goal, which is eternal life? And I want to end by reading our verse again. And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You know, we need to work together as a church, and as families, and as parents, and as a school to ensure that we are doing our very best to provide the education that our kids need, to make sure that they will have the most information, the most drive, passion about our school, our churches, so they stay in the church and they continue to serve God through their life.